We get a perspective on the recovery of Atlantic City from the city's mayor, Mayor Don Guardian. Plus, we discuss details of the upcoming Southern New Jersey Chamber of Commerce Hispanic Business Forum. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Joining me today is Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian as we take stock of how well Atlantic City is doing, especially as the all-important summer season comes to a close. Mayor, welcome to Latino Motion.
Buenos dias, Bert. Great to be here.
We know that Atlantic City had its financial woes, and this summer season is very critical for Atlantic City. How well is the city doing?
Had a great summer season, I'm happy to say. Just ended it with the 9/11 memorial service with more than 500 people. Kind of the symbolic end of the summer as we remember those that were lost on that tragic day. Miss American pageant, flawless, parade, good 20,000 people. Wonderful air show, 400,000 people on the beach. The beach concerts knocked it out of the water. So a very, very good season. Weather was so, we never got those hot, muggy days of August. It almost seemed like we moved right into September. A little bit rough ocean and all along the Atlantic coast. Lots of riptides making it very unsafe for swimming on a lot of days.
Let's talk about why this is so important, not only for the city, but for the rest of the state.
Sure. So certainly our summer season is our busiest. Weekends are great, but this is when everyone comes down to the Jersey Shore. So we have that 16-week period where we really need to make sure everything's going well. And so this was a good year for that. It wasn't just people coming down for the casinos. You came down for entertainment. You came down for fun dining or good dining. You came down for the clubs in the evening. So overall, just wonderful summer in the city.
What do you all the success in terms of getting the tourists back and having such a successful summer this year?
Yeah, so certainly, people are itching. If you're in Philly, if you're in New York, you want to come down to Jersey Shore, you want to enjoy yourself. I think Atlantic City just has a little bit more of a wow factor, more than some of the other shore communities. So because, again, of the dining and the spas and the other venues besides just the beach, I think Atlantic City did really well. Boardwalk was packed, great bicycling in the morning. Of course, we had the first extra mile of boardwalk completed this year, so that's certainly a plus as well. And just, casinos doing real well. Good punch with entertainment that they brought, obviously captured the right market here in Atlantic City. But walking on the boardwalk, you see lots of family, lots of a girls' night out and boys' night out, so it wasn't just a gaming crowd anymore.
We know this is an economic engine, not just for the city, but obviously the rest of the state. And the state does rely and depends on a good, healthy Atlantic City.
Yeah,
President.
and you know, the burden of making things right in Atlantic City on my shoulder, and I understand that it's important for Atlantic County and for South Jersey. So we certainly wanted to get back on our feet. Had a couple of rough years. This summer we're certainly back. Certainly all the cranes in the skies, construction that's going on makes us real happy on what we see as an incredibly successful 2018.
Now, you mentioned it's not just gaming. It's gaming all over, everywhere right now. So we have to depend on other venues as well.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, from the casinos like a Trop World that have escape rooms, that's the cool thing, kitschy things that people like to do. Now you're finding your favorite restaurant. And with the diversity that we have in our culture, you're seeing that diversity in food as well.
And we'll talk a little more about that. But thank you for now. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion as we continue our discussion with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian. And Mayor, just a year ago, less than a year ago, the city entered into a state takeover. Tell me a little bit of status of that and the financial health of the city.
Sure. So I have to say that I'm very grateful on certain things that the state did. And one of them is negotiating the amount of debt that we owed each of the casinos. Borgata, over $140 million, and then all the other casinos combined, another $140 million. This is through successful tax appeals. John Lloyd from the state team, brilliant guy, negotiated both of them down to $72 million. So we went from about $600 million in debt that the city had down to $365 million. And because the state had taken over, the local finance board approved COMTRA, which is Combined Municipal State Aid for the city. It's just a state aid program, so COMTRA of $35 million. So that $35 million over the next 25 years will pay off the $365 million of debt. With that out of the partition of what we need to fix the city, then we needed to trim about $50 million. We got it down to $40 million because we had to pay $17 million in tax appeals ourselves, but I mean next year will be well below the $50 million. So the city helped with the $35 million to pay off our debt. The city reduced our cost of running government by about $50 million. Ironically, all of the things that happened to reduce that debt, the city had proposed in the plan that was rejected by the state. But once they were here and they studied it, they realized that we were right. We needed to privatize trash and recycling. Then we had to work with the county on Meals on Wheels, on senior transportation, on some health issues. We needed to privatize our payroll. The ultimate goal was reducing the amount of city employees by about 450 employees. So we achieved that. And then finally, the pilot, which is payment in lieu of taxes for the casinos, came in at what it was in 2015, but then the casinos paid an extra $29 million to the city this year, and we'll be paying just a little bit less than that next year as well. So that's how the city is sure-footed for our people that live in the city, own property, pay property taxes. They saw 11.4% decrease for the first time in a very long time.
A very positive setting, particularly to attract new development to the city, correct?
So we solved the city. You know, I inherited a city that was on the verge of bankruptcy. We saved it from the brink of bankruptcy. We were able to solve our problems this year, lower the taxes for each of our property owners, and then next year a very stabilized government that we are able to pay based on the tax bases and income that we have coming in. So that's very important because that attracts the new businesses that we so desperately needed. And then this year, you know, cranes in the sky everywhere. So whether we were fixing the boardwalk or doing infrastructure repair.
We do want to go into a little more in-depth on those developments. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion, and we continue our discussion in the perspective of the city of Atlantic City with the mayor of Atlantic City, Don Guardian. Mayor, let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure projects, the new projects that are coming online.
Certainly the boardwalk, the repaving of the streets, the changing over all 9,000 lights with Atlantic Electric to LED. Certainly the big project, which is Stockton University, coming to build a beautiful campus right on the boardwalk on Albany Avenue, South Jersey Gas's corporate office, Hard Rock Casino opening up with 3,000 jobs on the boardwalk as well, in the old Taj Mahal, and then 250 units of new housing, the beach at the South Inlet being built as we talk. So lots of new projects bringing in jobs and bringing in some additional income.
So talking about jobs and talking about housing, you have a large Latino community here in Atlantic City. Tell me a little bit about the outreach that you're doing for the Latino community.
Yeah, so we're very, very proud of our diversity, especially the Latino community. 32% of the city is Latino in the last census, and I think by the next census it'll have increased drastically. Certainly in the next few years it'll be the majority in the city. So we had a lot of success working with the Mexican consul, the consul general out of Philadelphia for Mexico for Atlantic City has been there on numerous times. We've done some outreach.
You do have a consul day, so these are the consuls will be coming to
the
city.
So Mexico, Dominican Republic, Colombia, and Peru will all be there in Atlantic City helping with passports, visas, any questions that people have.
Let me just put the date out there because it's September the 16th, and that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 15 North California Avenue.
Which is Our Lady Star of the Sea. And so, yeah, please come on out. We want to certainly reach out. We also had from the Mexican consul, the Mexican government, very good working relations. So in the event that ICE is in the city, all of our police officers actually have a direct number for legal representations from the country of Mexico for anyone that's in the process that may be deported. And then we have a special program for any children that may be left alone because their parents are being arrested, again with the consul from Mexico. So we're very concerned with trying to protect Latino Americans that are Atlantic City residents.
So you have that good relationship you're building with the local consuls, and again, you know, you don't have a sanctuary city in Atlantic City, but you're proactively reaching out and making sure that...
Absolutely. Our police department, very good relations. You know, from the last time we talked, you know, I'm so proud that at the same time, the executive director at PAL and the executive director at the Boys and Girls Club both happen to be Latino, both happen to be Puerto Ricans. So they bring a nice emphasis on what our Latino community is looking for.
One of the criticism has been the underrepresentation in the fire department, police department of Latinos and minorities. Is that improving?
Oh, absolutely. I went to the Attorney General concerned about underrepresentation in the leadership ranks of both African Americans and Latinos and got what I'll call a waiver. We were able to promote 6 officers as Latinos, and then even during these tough times without promotions, when we had a bilingual sergeant's position open, we were able to bring in a new...
So all good stuff, Mayor.
All good.
Thank you for this information. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but thank you for joining us, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. I'm happy to have Christina Renner with the Southern New Jersey Chamber of Commerce joining us to discuss this year's Hispanic Business Forum. Christina, it's so nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So we've had a successful Latino, Hispanic business forum, and this is the 3rd year, correct?
This is the 3rd year the South Jersey Chamber of Commerce is hosting this forum, yes.
So when is the event taking place?
So the event is taking place this year on Friday, September 22nd, and it's going to take place at the Crown Plaza in Cherry Hill.
So let's talk a little bit about why the Chamber is doing this event, and it's been doing it for 3 years. Why?
So about 3 years ago, our chamber members and just really the general community came to us and said there was a real need to help empower the Latino community and the current Hispanic business owners to do better in their business operations, the current business owners, and again, to empower Latinos that might have an interest in opening a business to have the resources and to learn how to go about doing so. And those are things that our chamber definitely has the expertise in doing. So we decided to create this event for the purpose of really empowering the Latino community and the Hispanic business community by using our resources and hopefully partnering with them to make a better overall outcome for everyone.
You know, and I participated in all two other events, and happy to participate again this year in the third event. One of the great things is the networking, because you're bringing small business owners and you're bringing them to network with folks that are important for their business. Yes. And how successful is that networking?
It's so successful that we've actually grown the period of networking time that we make available during the program. So this year's Hispanic Business Forum is a half-day event starting at 8 a.m. and going until noon. And we've built the networking component into the beginning hour, and then again to the last half hour of the program, again, just for the Hispanic business owners and the Latino community to be able to maximize that time spent with business folks that they might not usually have access to.
And there's some major businesses there that are looking to do business with
Yes.
Latino businesses.
Yes.
So that's always a good fit and a perfect opportunity to make that match, if you will.
Exactly. So many of our members are looking for those opportunities to do business with Hispanic business owners and Hispanic-owned and run minority-owned businesses across the board, and folks don't know it. So we are bringing those employers to the table and bringing them to the Latino community.
The other aspect of this is also finding the resources that might be helpful. And I know we have a panel, we'll talk a little bit about that, but just getting those resources that a business that's looking to grow may be able to participate in.
Exactly. I mean, our business needs to know what they need to do, the right steps to take in order to be successful. So this forum will help walk them through step by step what they need to do to create a business or to run a more successful business if they're already running a business.
Christina, obviously someone wants to get more information. The information is available on your website as well.
Yes, it is, and that's www.chambersnj.com.
And let me just repeat, it is the Hispanic Business Forum, and it's taking place September the 22nd from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. First hour is reception and networking, very important.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We're going to continue to discuss this in more depth. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. We'll continue our discussion with Christina Arena with the Southern New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. And Christina, what can we expect from this year's Hispanic Forum?
So we've kept the format similar to what we had last year. As I said, just expanding it slightly with some added networking. So it starts at 8 a.m. again at the Crown Plaza in Cherry Hill on September 22nd. And from 8 to 9 a.m., we are going to have exhibits. The companies you mentioned that want to do business with Hispanic business owners are going to be there with tables set up around the room exhibiting. That is a time for our guests to visit those booths, network with each other, and of course have a buffet breakfast, which will be served during that hour-long period. Then at 9 o'clock, we're going to start the program. Our CEO, Deb DiLorenzo, will be kicking off the program, and also giving introductory remarks is Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez from the 5th Legislative District, and Deputy Camden Clerk Angel Fuentes and former Assemblyman Angel Fuentes, two good friends of our organization, will be providing opening comments. Great. At that point, we're going to move to a panel discussion on your business toolkit, talking about those success tools you need to make your business run.
To say that this is a very good part of the forum because it really gives you some useful information that as a business owner will be great for you to have those kind of tools.
Yes, if you're an attendee, you take notes, ask good questions because these are experts that can tell you exactly what tools you need and step-by-step how to run your business successfully. And we're lucky to have you moderating that panel once again, Bert. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Let's talk about the keynote speaker, which follows that.
Yes.
A very good friend for a long time, Gil has been around for a long time. Tell me a little bit about him.
So our keynote speaker this year is really fantastic. It's Gil Medina, a true legend here in the Hispanic community in New Jersey, has been involved in aspects of real estate for a very long period of time, but also involved in aspects of government. A lot of people don't actually know he was the Secretary of Commerce under Governor Whitman many moons ago. So he really knows the tools that businesses need to retain and attract business and do really well here in New Jersey. And plus his extensive real estate experience, he's going to be fantastic. He's really going to be talking to the audience about his experiences and giving really helpful tips on how Hispanic business owners can thrive here in New Jersey. We are just thrilled to have him this year.
Very important guest. And let's talk about the panel. Who are the members of the panel?
So we have members of the panel from 4 different companies. One is a person from Bank of America. That person's going to be talking about lending to minority-owned businesses, how you go about lending to small and minority-owned businesses. We also have someone speaking from Archer and Griner, who's going to be talking about the licensing of businesses and specific to minority-owned businesses. We have someone from the NJ Economic Development Authority talking about any sort of incentive and grant programs that are available for minority and small businesses. And we also have someone from South Jersey Industries. And that representative is going to be talking about the corporate culture and why it's important for big companies like South Jersey Industries to do business with Hispanic-owned businesses.
You have a very good agenda and certainly looking forward to it. Again, the information is available on the website.
Yes.
And again, the forum is taking place Friday, September the 22nd from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thank you for sharing that information with our audience.
Thank you for having me again.
And thank you for joining us once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment. Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.